And now, fresh off a 30-year break from his life in over-the-air radio, here's the host of the most originally named 15 Years Too Late podcast, JaySapChats.
We're into it, bud. What's up, Yanni Hufnagel?
Sapchats. So good to see you.
What do you got?
What an honor.
Hey, what do you got there? Is that non-sanctioned, unapproved swag that you're wearing? You're wearing your brand with me?
This is what I you know what? This is an old polo. I went deep into the archives this morning.
All right.
Trying to get rid of a stack of old polos. So
all right.
it is unbranded though, and I apologize.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. So Yanni Hufnagel, everybody, the executive chairman and the founder of Lemon Perfect. Hey, you had the poppy selling the other day for $1.5 billion, I assume?
Very, very happy for that. I know Allison and Steven and the management team very, very well, and they've earned it. They have really earned it.
Yeah, everybody earns it. I mean, look, how long have you been at Lemon Perfect now? What have you been doing this for? 8 years, 7 years?
7.5 years, Jay, coming up on 8. It'll be 8 this summer. Yeah.
And I'd almost bet my last dollar when you started, in your mind, you were 3-4 years, you were going to have options, this and that, and get out. Maybe not but I'm just saying, you thought it was all going to go, and it's hard. It's long and hard.
I thought it was going to be a lot faster. I knew it would be hard. And candidly, for the first couple of years, we had such great momentum that it I thought that we started right around the same time that Poppy did. And I thought we would, I'm not talking about valuation. I thought we would have climbed the mountain by now, and we're still very much, somewhere in the middle of the mountain and, looking up at the peak. And so, we had a challenging 2024 after 7 years of just explosive growth around some product quality issues. And so, now we're trying to start this thing back up, but Poppy is a hell of an exit for our world. And I'm so happy for them.
All right. So I'm not the normal podcast. So here's what I want to do. I want to go back in time. I want to get to learn about you. Before I do that, I just want to say it's a testament to you as a human being that you and I met 19 years ago, 2006. Okay.
Is that right, Jay?
2006. Remember how we met? Obviously, it was clear, right? You had a fraternity brother who was working for a company that I was the founder of, and you were thinking about a potential career change in sales, into business, right? You were, at that time, you were what, Oklahoma, GA, or where were you at that point?
I hadn't even started at Oklahoma. 2006, I was in between leaving one business that I started with my college roommate called Loud Campus.
Right.
And I had not thought about coaching college basketball yet. I was in that, there was that kind of 1 year interim period. I was bartending it down the hatch here in New York. And I think that's when we met for the first time. Listen, who knows?
And I told you, hey,
who knows? Maybe one key would still be, I don't know, but maybe I should have, you're an unbelievable guy with high motor. I told you,
I said you should be a college coach, and you went in, and that's the route that you ended up going into. And thankfully you did. You were part of one of the best games I've ever seen in my life, Harvard Brown.
Yeah. We had a lot of good games at Harvard.
Yeah. Well, the Harvard Brown game, you were down like 11 with a minute and 15 seconds to go and won the game in Brown. Like I took my son to the game. He thought you were a rock star. He still thinks you're a rock star. We all follow you.
With
It's
Jay, how old is he
cool.
now?
Last semester in college.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And a big golfer, right?
Yeah, this is his last semester of golf. So he's yeah, this is it. And then he goes to New York City. He's going to work for a consulting firm, and we'll see where his game goes from there.
He's at Williams?
He's at Williams, and he's in his I mean, he won as a freshman, and then
Unbelievable. He's playing golf at Williams. You just cannot do better than that.
Yeah,
that is really special stuff. Wow.
He's doing well. He's a great kid. All three really. So we met so back to us. We met in 2006. We had maintained a relationship based on a job interview. Yanni interviewed with me. I said, yeah, I think you're best doing something. I mean, it was, you're a passionate guy, and like all you talked about was basketball and like how you love basketball. I'm like, I don't need a basketball coach on the team. As energetic and passionate and great as you would have been, and I think you'd be great at anything, as proven by you founding a company like Lemon Perfect. Like I'm all about fit. And in my world, I was like, let's do the right thing by you. And I would hope all these years later, you felt like that conversation resonated to do the right thing by you.
Yeah. Well, listen, you are one of my biggest fans. You have been through all the ups of my last 19 years and all the downs of my last 19 years. Yeah. You are what I would call true blue.
I understand.
There are not a lot of people wired like you that will check in with the frequency and the genuineness that you do. And that is rare. I mean, yeah. I have thousands and thousands of friends and tens of thousands of acquaintances, and there are a very small number of those friends that that check in with the enthusiasm that you do, not needing anything, right? Like it's just it's
like
more
for the
meaningful, Jay, than you can imagine.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, for the record, like we've done some business in the past a long time ago, but for the most part, you had some existing relationships, people inside your company that made some decisions that, so it's not based on you giving me income. It's based on like, I actually care about you. Like, I mean,
yeah, there's no question.
We've been through, like, I've watched your journey, and I just take this really long look at life. Like, we don't have to transact for me to care about you. It's just not how I'm wired. I mean, look, do I want the business? Of course I want the business. Everybody wants the business. But it's not this, you're dead to me if we don't do the business today. I'm going to be in business. You're going to be in business. We'll figure it out. At some point, we'll do business. And circumstances
maybe
will
my
change.
next. Yeah, no question, Jay. No,
you just don't know.
Question about it.
All right, let's go back, because what, the four people who listen to my podcast, we're just at the beginning here, really have come to learn and love. What I like to do is I want to know, like, your story's documented in newspapers, online. Everybody knows all the stuff that's out there about Lemon Perfect founding past, right? But I want to know all the stuff that happens pre-Lemon Perfect, like you said, Oklahoma, pre-college basketball, your first bits. I want to go back in time. Where'd you grow up? Let's start there. Where do you grow up?
Scarsdale, New York, Westchester County, just outside of the city.
And like Hufnagel's already like a interesting name. So is Yanni a family name, or where's that come from?
So my real name is Jan Alfred, Jan, Yann hyphen Alfred, Alfred. My dad's from France. So it's a French name.
Okay.
My mom and dad met here. My dad was here on, let's call it an internship. It was a program. Somehow, my uncle says, you got to meet my mom. My dad, anyway, dad comes over here with 3 duffel bags and a couple $100. Marries, my mom and dad get married. And my given name is Jan Alfred. Hufnagel. Within a few weeks, my mom, I think, decided that she didn't love Jan Alfred, and she just started calling me Yanni. And so that's that's how that came to be.
All right. So any
And
brothers and sisters?
yeah, two brothers
Okay.
that are both in the business today. One brother's in private equity. He's one of our board observers. He used to sit on our board, and my youngest brother is in our customer service department.
So you're the middle.
I'm the oldest. Sorry. So Alec, who's in private equity, is the middle brother, and then our youngest brother, or the youngest brother, is a part of our internal team. He sits on our customer service team. Does a great job.
And what's the age gap?
I'm 42. Alex 41. Peter's 35. So 7 years from top to bottom.
All right. I mean, were you close with your brother that was a year, and then when the other guy comes along, or like all three of you close the whole time, or how's that dynamic?
Very close. I mean, it's an everyday in the group text. Part of the reason we went remote last November, and part of the reason why I chose to leave Atlanta and come to New York, was my dad's on Long Island. Alec, the middle brother, is in Greenwich, Connecticut, and then Peter's on the Upper East Side. So, it was a chance to be closer to them, closer to my dad. We lost our mom a couple of years ago. The one thing is, you look up, I'm running the last 15 years, from, Norman, Oklahoma to Boston, Massachusetts, Nashville, Tennessee, Berkeley, California, Reno, Nevada, Atlanta, Georgia. And I just felt like, my God, I'm going to look up and the race is going to be run, and I'm not going to have been around my family. And so I came back here. Very good decision. I don't know what the future holds, but we're very close, and it's been a very rewarding year in that sense.
Were you always, when you were younger, growing up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very, very close family. Missed those days and those times, but very close family.
So
I played lacrosse with my brother. We were 1 year apart.
So you were a lacrosse player growing up, not a basketball player?
Yeah. So I was a defenseman. Alec was an attackman. I ended up playing my freshman year of lacrosse at Penn State. Alec ended up going to Dartmouth after my freshman year at Penn State. Longer story, but I transferred to Cornell, and instead of playing lacrosse, started working for the basketball team as a student manager.
How basketball? Like, I mean, you were a lacrosse player. What?
Yeah, so the short story is, I got cut from our varsity basketball team my junior year, and I was the last cut. Like they brought the tryouts pared down, and then he took 15, and it was going to be one cut on the last day. So I was. It's not a story. I was actually the last cut. It still pains me a little bit to this day. I spent so much time playing lacrosse, focusing on lacrosse. If I had just done a little bit more work with basketball, those couple early years of high school, who knows? But I could really shoot it, but not enough off the balance. And, there were a lot of scars of high school, a lot of guys that are 6'1" and can shoot it. And so, with that disappointment, the very next day, or maybe 2 days later, I went with a friend of mine, Ed Cohen, to the principal's office, and we asked if we could start. We were doing the football games for Cable 72, broadcasting the football games. Ed was the play-by-play guy. I was the color guy. And we went to the principal's office and asked if we could start doing the basketball games for Cable 72, which was like the local access, closed circuit cable network back when everyone had a cable box. And, and he said, great, I'll approve it. And Eddie and I started doing the basketball games. And it was like a real hit. Everyone, the whole town was listening to the games. I almost got fired from the job because I was yelling and screaming that the head coach wasn't using his timeouts properly one game. And so, but Eddie has gone on to be the voice of the New York Knicks for MSG. So he has certainly risen to stardom. Very happy and proud of him. But that's, I've always loved basketball. And And so, use that, um, week one at Cornell, I'm in the varsity weight room.
All
One
right,
of the
so let's get out of Cornell for a second and let's
yeah,
go back. I didn't realize you went to Penn State.
1 year.
Recruited?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you're recruited, you're a defenseman on the lacrosse team. I mean, that's got
Yep.
to be a good experience. I mean, you
And it
got
was great.
the
Team
lacrosse,
finished.
the bros in lacrosse, right? I mean, that's like a big thing.
Yeah. It was a hell of a year. Team finished 13th in the country. Really good players.
Did you play?
Uh, I played on our man down unit.
Okay.
So I did get a little burn. I think, listen, I had a much better fall ball campaign than I did spring for whatever reason. Um, I'm not, listen, we had a really good group,
Yeah.
and I was a freshman and it was a junior and senior loaded team and really good group. So
Oh, you
I
must have
enjoyed the
gotten the crap.
experience.
You must have gotten murdered in practice.
Yeah, we listen, going up against some really good players every day, um, but lacrosse is a sport where you can compete your way and be pretty successful. There's so much of it is communication, will, especially defensively, and so positioning, being a team defense guy. So I was okay. I mean, I
Yeah.
handled my own, but I had a string of some really bad practices in January, February, under the lights, outside, snowing outside. And Jay, this is the story. I came home one night. I had a bunch of friends at Penn. I had a bunch of friends at Cornell. Um, I applied to both of those schools
Did you get in?
basically in the middle of the night, if you will. I mean, I filled out the application.
Well, did you apply at first or were you held?
No, I got I chose I made a decision on Penn State beginning of my senior year of high school, so I didn't
You
apply.
only applied to one college
Yeah,
before.
that's exactly right. I don't even know. I guess I applied, but I knew I was getting in,
Yeah.
and so but the applications were not that long. There was an essay, whatever. I did it.
And you
And
probably had good grades at Penn State. I
you
mean,
know what?
obviously.
I was a very good student that year. Yeah, I was a very good student. Um,
So you
you
go
know,
home after practices. This is the sequence. You have a series of bad practices. You go home, the light bulb comes on in your head that you have all these friends who are at Penn and who are at Cornell, and you're sort of
it was kind of like it was kind of like I'm getting out of here. Yeah, and I just applied. It was back at the very early days of being able to submit an application online. So it wasn't, there was no friction in the process. It was like easy. And, uh, and then I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, Jay. And, I got, uh, a flat out rejection from Penn. Um, and Cornell said, we'd like to bring you to campus for an interview. And I applied to the ILR department at Cornell, the ILR school, Industrial and Labor Relations. And I don't even know why I signed up for it, but I took a labor relations class at Penn State that fall. So, and I did very, very well. I got an A in that. But listen, Jay, you bring me to campus for an interview, I'm not leaving without an admissions offer. And yeah, a couple weeks later, I got the offer to go to Cornell, and it was like, I kind of had forgotten about it. Whatever. You open up your email one day, it's congratulations on your admissions, and so then I had kind of settled into Penn State. But I just felt like that was the move that made the most sense at the time, and I transferred, and
yeah.
and the rest is history on this journey.
So let's go back to high school for a second, right? Because when I realized, I realized with myself in high school very early that I was different than everyone else. And that sounds crazy to say, right? But I realized, I watched my dad not like my dad hated his job and in life. And I didn't it was hard to watch. And I realized I wasn't ever going to do that. And I was always sort of out there. And I was the guy who could talk to in fact, I'm a little older than you. We had heathens and heads and, we had different groups of people in the school and the jocks I was the integrator of all those groups. I could talk to anyone, be around anyone.
Right, Jay. Yep.
And so I knew I'd say probably ninth or 10th grade that entrepreneurialism or just kind of like going my own path and not being a rubber stamp corporate guy was my path in life. When did you, was it high school? Was it college? Was it your parent? Like, what was the influence? Like, what happened there?
In terms of what, Jay? In terms of
Just the whole feeling of where you sort of knew, like, you did the broadcasts, like, I'm different than everyone else, or like, when did you know you
Jay, I
started?
think I was probably the only guy at Scarsdale High School that was in the fall musical, and was on either the lacrosse or the football team, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I had great crossover in that sense, and I would still say that I have that today. And that's why I'm, I can interact with any group and make any group of people feel good. I mean, eh, that diversity has really carried me along, a long way. And I'm flying around the walls, and candidly taking up a lot of airspace, whether it's a rehearsal for, my guys and dolls, or whether it's the locker room of our lacrosse locker room. I had great emotion and great passion.
Who's that come from?
Being around people.
Is that your mom, dad? Is it being the oldest?
Not my dad. I guess it's my mom. But yeah, I've always been a loud, high energy voice, that I think has, worn his passion for certain things on his sleeve, and just tried to treat people really well along the way. And,
so that was me, right? I saw my dad treat people like exceptionally well, and he could talk. He talk, like my dad would stop and talk to the guy emptying the garbage, and the next thing he's doing is talking to a millionaire. Like,
I'm good at that. I take great pride in that. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, and then my mom was like a battering ram, right? So it's like she was just a tough, hard-nosed woman, and so it was hard for me when I was young, especially going out west, right? Where like people are a little more chill and laid back. Like I had to really ratchet back and figure out like you can't always be that battering ram, and it's better to be more like your dad or more like your. And these, by the way, all this stuff is all looking back, right? It's like you don't know any of this when you're going through it. You just go through it and then observe through the consequences what happened and whether you like the consequences or you don't. And then, if you don't change the consequences you don't like, well, then you're just a knucklehead. So, it's the upbringing has so much, it has so much to do with it. So, yeah. So anyway, so then all right. So you get to Cornell.
Yep.
Fish out of water, in the right place, made the right decision right away. Life's perfect. Like, where's your head?
Look, I don't think change is ever like I had settled in Happy Valley. I didn't get a great dorm room. My sophomore year at Cornell, I was like in an old. My mom and I think it was a converted custodial closet, like it didn't look like the rest of the dorm rooms. And
there
wasn't really enough space for a proper bed. I had to put my mattress on the floor. It was just, like the first couple of weeks were challenging. I think it's a lot easier, today, notwithstanding, because the landscape has changed. But back then, I think transferring and coming in as a sophomore to a team is not as easy than being a freshman and starting with that group and being a part of it, right? Like you come in as a sophomore and that group of freshmen that are now sophomore, they've all been together for a year. So I think there was some challenge in that, right? So yeah, I don't think it was super easy. Now I was fortunate in that I had several friends that rushed a fraternity house, and so I started hanging out with with that group, and Cy Upsilon, of which Josh Kudish, who you referenced earlier, was a part of. And so that was nice. But look, I mean, it all worked itself out. I got friendly with one of the assistant basketball coaches. Lacrosse, I just didn't feel the great, early on. And he said, come work for us. And I just made it.
So you transferred to play lacrosse, and you were going to play lacrosse.
That's exactly right.
It didn't feel right, but you wanted to stay around athletics, so you went to be the manager on the basketball team.
I didn't make it to one fall lacrosse practice. I made the decision to pivot before we even had the first practice in the fall.
It's hard. I mean, if you're not motivated to do it, it's cold. It's, it's like, I'll tell you what, we talked about my son, Ben, earlier. It's funny as a dad, like I look back, the thing I admire most about Ben is he was on the squash team. And as a junior, he was the captain. So he was a captain his junior and senior year on the squash team.
Wow.
They had a 6 a.m. practice. We live about 25 minutes from where he went to high school. And they practiced at Brown, which was about a 25-minute drive.
Okay.
And squash is a winter sport. And they had practice at 6 a.m. before school every day. And his entire high school career, including his junior and senior year, he never missed one practice.
Yeah, wow. Good for him. Yeah.
And, he loved it. But to me, that's the character that you look for in a human being. And if your heart's not in it, so like now you switch over to basketball, you're the manager. You're not a player. You're the manager.
Yeah.
You're at every practice?
Just about everyone. And no question. Yeah. Just about everyone. And the team, this was when Steve Donahue had just gotten the job. And Cornell was bad. I think my first season we were 5-26.
Oh.
So that was, but it was cool to be a part of it. Had some really good kids on the team. I mean, really good kids on the team. Good people. And, and I give obviously Steve a lot of credit for what he accomplished in his career there. And eventually they went all the way to the Sweet 16, had a great run.
Were the Ivies only playing on the weekends back then?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, every weekend you basically, they took your weekends. You committed your weekends as a college student to the basketball program.
Yeah. Yes. Now listen, I wasn't playing, so it's a little bit easier to go out on a Friday night when you don't have to play on Saturday. But I was committed, and Steve and that staff, they were great. God, it feels like a long time ago. 23 years ago now. That was 23 years ago.
The NCAA tournament is a reminder for me every year. I mean, I just had my friend Paul Gutierrez, who you may know from ESPN. He covers the Raiders. Paul and I were and are friends in college. In fact, the day when we graduated, we both graduated at the same time, and our families went to dinner together.
Wow.
He just texted me a picture. They're having a reunion over the NCAA tournament. He was with Anderson Hunt, Larry Johnson, and Stacy hanging out. And
that's really cool. Because, Jay, they won it in 90.
35 years ago. 35 years ago. Yeah.
So, Jay, you were...
Yeah.
Were you a student manager?
No, I was the radio producer engineer. I traveled to every game. I didn't travel to the national championship game because the guy who split the duties with me, who was older and gave me the job, wanted to go to the national championship game.
Which was where? It wasn't in Seattle. Where was it? Denver. That's right.
McNichols Arena. Still 103-73 is the largest blowout.
Against Duke.
Yeah. All right. They almost got beat the day before, or 2 days before, against Georgia Tech.
The semifinals was close.
The semifinals was really, really close. That was Gary Payton, was it? No. Who was Georgia Tech? This is what happens when it's 35 years ago. But no, the following year, I went on the road and at home every when they were undefeated. And that year we played in Michigan. I mean, that was great. We played at
Wow.
Arkansas. We played at Michigan. That was the Nolan Smith years. And then we played at Michigan State, which Eric Snow was with Steve Smith, and played at Auburn Hills, the Palace at Auburn Hills.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember we're riding on the bus, and Robin Roberts, we're riding on the bus coming home from the game, and Tark put the replay on at that time. The buses had little TV screens, and that's all we had, right? We didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
And Robin Roberts, in her stand-up before the game, basically did this like loving commentary of Larry Johnson. And oh my God, did the bus break his chops over that? I mean, it was.
Is that right? How about that? Dave Rice was on that team, right?
Yeah, Travis Bice, David Rice. Yeah, that was a great team. Moses Scurry, David Butler. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave Rice has become a dear friend. We were together at Nevada for 1 year working for Coach Musselman.
Yeah.
I think you're the only guy. He'll say you're the only guy. The only people that called him David were me and his wife. And now you just called him David. So I don't know if that's what he went by when he was there, but Coach Rice, good guy.
Who do you think he roomed with? Who do you think he roomed with in college? Did he ever tell you?
No.
He was with Greg Anthony.
Oh, they put Rice with Greg Anthony.
I think Greg Anthony put Rice with Greg Anthony.
How about that? That's funny.
Greg was a straight-laced kid. He was not like Greg was a business guy. He gave his scholarship back his senior year because he started an apparel company that was selling merch. And he made more selling merch than he did his scholarship was.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, he was Greg was always business minded, and I mean, tough as nails. Do you remember when he had to put the helmet on to play because he broke his jaw?
No.
Oh,
Wow.
He
How
broke
about that? So that was 2025, 35 years ago, huh?
35 years ago. Yeah, another lifetime ago. 35 years ago. Yeah. So all right. Let's go back to you after college. Where do you go? Like what? I graduated college. What do you do?
I started this it was like, I don't even know. It was called Loud Campus. Started it with my college roommate.
Did you have any job offers?
The answer is no, because we started building this in like December of my senior year. In the fall of my senior year, I interviewed with a couple of investment banks.
Okay.
And there is a funny story on that. I was at UBS in Stamford, Connecticut. And, I made it all the way to the final rounds. And it was this time of year. And the question was, the one of the questions, they came in, they brought the math guy in to test my math skills. And the question was, okay, you've got this thing called the NCAA tournament. There are 64 teams. How many games are played to get it to one champion? And obviously I knew the answer, but I kind of looked up, thought about it for like 2 seconds. I said, I think 63. And he said, my God, no one's ever answered that question as fast.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I got another round, and then they put me up on the whiteboard, and they asked me some more questions. I couldn't answer any of the quant questions. So that's a funny story. And they told me that they wanted to offer me the job, that they had the offer ready to go at the end of the day. And the management team got together and said, we just cannot hire this guy. He can't. Math has never been my big thing, Jay. So I had that. My mom wanted me to go to law school. I started studying for the LSATs. I was a little bit all over the place, to be honest. But anyway, did this idea called Loud Campus. We got some real traction. We got to 8 campuses. It was like, it was kind of like, Yelp for colleges. Mm-hmm. We were just a little bit too early, and for college campuses and cities, we were just a little bit too early. We got some great traction early. And And then it just, we shut it down within a year. By that point, I was already living in Manhattan with 3 of my college roommates. So I started bartending at a place called Down the Hatch. Really hard work.
Yeah.
5 or 6 nights a week.
You're like, this sucks.
Yeah, until like 3 or 4 in the morning. And so that first year out of school is when I ultimately, I had interned for the New Jersey Nets after my junior year of college, and had great relationships with the Nets, and the video coordinator at the time, Ryan Kruger, he had been Coach Capel's graduate assistant at VCU when Jeff was the head coach at VCU. And so he connected me with Coach Capel, and I went out and I interviewed for a GA spot at Oklahoma and got the job, and the rest is history. So that's the kind of the arc. But basically I took 1 year off after college, before I got into basketball.
Did you feel supported by your folks and your family when you took that year and were sort of trying to figure it out? I mean, you just graduated from Cornell. The expectations when you graduate Cornell is that you take 0 years off, that you go right into an investment banker consulting firm, that you do this and that and this. I mean, like, did you feel the pressure? Did they put the pressure on? Like, you remember that period?
Yeah, there was some pressure. Jay, I've never, for better or worse, I've never taken the straight path on anything.
I get it.
So, Jewish guy from Scarsdale, never played, going to coach basketball, takes a shot after 10 years in college basketball to go start this beverage company. Who knows what comes next? So it's just like, yeah, it has been an interesting journey for sure, and certainly a windy road. But man, I mean, the relationships that I've been able to build, it's just been, no one has the exposure to so many different industries that I've had. No one. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been incredible.
yeah. So take me through, so you go work for Capel, and like, how important do you think it is that, I mean, the Griffin brothers were there when you were there. How important do you think them being there? I mean, just the fact that the team was great, like, how influential was that in your path?
Here's what I've learned, Jay, is that there's nothing more important than winning.
It's truer
And
words.
and externally, I don't think anyone really cares about what you did to impact winning as much as they care that you just won, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And it has taken me a long time to process that.
You mean because they're not in the details like you're in the details?
Yeah, it's like, internally, you might be like, well, I recruited this player, or I developed this player, or I did this, or I did that. The only thing that really matters is, did you win? That is a great lesson that I have learned, is that winning creates opportunities. You know, I got jobs in college basketball because we won. I had winning allowed me to have a reputation as a great recruiter. I'm going to have opportunities going forward in my life because Lemon Perfect, while we haven't crossed the finish line, we've had a lot of success, right? But that is a great, just for me, it's just winning solves, everything. And so Blake and Taylor, they allowed us to win. I mean, and so, another, the other truth there is that, you know, in college basketball, it is all about the players. You have to have the personnel. In CPG, the product needs to stand up, but it really is about team. And I would say a lot of our transgressions has been because maybe I just haven't had the I don't want to say the best people around me, but maybe the most loyal people around me. And so a lot of learnings there. But yeah, my first day of summer school at Oklahoma, I was a graduate student um, in the School of Education, was Blake's first day of summer school of undergraduate. So um, I think Blake is the first player that I ever met at Oklahoma. I walked down the steps um, of the practice facility, down the little side steps there, and I walked into the gym, and Blake and Taylor were working out. And I remember going back upstairs and telling my mom, I think we're going to be okay here. Um, Great players, but even better people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just with those guys a couple of weeks ago in LA. They've continued to be a huge part of my story. And I'm forever grateful to them.
Blake's got a second life. He's a TV
Oh,
star
I
now.
mean, I, that both of them.
Oh, really? Taylor too?
Yeah, Taylor's not a movie star, or a commercial actor, but he is now, he just launched his first, consumer fund,
Okay.
venture fund, doing incredibly well.
Great.
So, yeah, I'm really happy for those guys. They were, the first check into Lemon Perfect, and or in that first round of checks to Lemon Perfect. They've really supported me on this journey, and I'm just so grateful to them.
All right. So then you go to Harvard, right? Next. And is that
Uh,
your next stop?
Oklahoma to Harvard. Yeah,
So then you're in the Duke coaching tree.
I'm in the Duke coaching tree. That's
Right. So now
exactly.
all of a sudden you're not Yanni from Cornell or Penn State. You're Yanni from Duke. You're a capable, right? You're
There
a
you go, Jay.
amateur.
In my book, in my book, there's a page in my book, my old book. There's a page that had my coaching tree, and yes, it was Coach K down to Coach Capel and Coach Amaker down to me. So that was pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, but let's face it, right? I mean, I know you said winning makes everything better and makes it easier, and it does, right? No doubt. Like you cannot say it doesn't. There was a time when you were in college hoop. I mean, some pretty important guys were calling you the best recruiter in all of college basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, flat out,
Um,
they were calling you the best recruiter in all of college basketball.
yeah. Listen, Jay, I worked really hard. I had great head coaches
You did.
that I believed in.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's really important.
Oh,
Um,
belief.
yeah,
It's everything.
you nailed it. It's everything. Um, and and as I look back, it is really interesting. I'm at my best when I believe
Mhm.
with insane conviction. When I was at Harvard, I thought Tommy Amaker was the greatest thing on planet Earth. I
Mhm.
really did.
Yeah.
I believe that with all my heart. And because of that, I had such unyielding passion to
Yeah.
try to over deliver for Tommy and for Harvard. Like, I really believed that I thought we could go to a Final Four at Harvard. I thought we could go to a Final Four at Harvard. And, and man, we took some big swings. If we had knocked one or two of them down, we might have. As it turns out, we win a game in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And then I left in the group after that. Almost won two games in the NCAA tournament, but and yeah, I thought Tommy was the best leader of people that I had been around. And obviously the brand of Harvard and what that meant. We used to talk about 40 years and not 4 years, and I got wrapped up in that. And then I go to Vanderbilt, Jay, and I'm working for Kevin Stallings. And I really believed in my heart that he was like the greatest X's and O's coach. And so then I'm obsessed with what players can I recruit to put into his, into his offensive mind, right? And just let him go to work.
Right.
You know,
Right.
he
You're not
had,
going to get the best talent at Vanderbilt, but you're going to get a guy who's going to set screens. And Kevin's so good with X's and O's, you need a guy to set screens.
yeah, Jay, candidly, I want offensive talent. So I'll find the guy that can go step. But I was upset. I mean, there were a couple guys, like there was this kid, Matthew Fisher Davis, who we recruited from North Carolina, Butler High School. And I thought he was the smoothest shooting guard that I had like ever laid my eyes on. He could really score the basketball.
Was he?
Big time coming off of screening action. Just moved with such depth, and we ended up getting him. We beat Wake Forest for him, which was a great get for us. At the time, Virginia was involved. And Matthew came. We got a kid named Wade Baldwin right at the chance. I mean, it was a hell of, and we almost got some big time guy. But the point is that I really believed in Kevin as an X and O's guy, and then, you go to Cal and you got Conzo Martin, who was terrific. And then Eric Musselman, at Nevada, who was terrific. And I was able to always build story, and believe in what we were doing at such a high level. And what I've learned is when you don't have the belief, it becomes really, really hard to get things done.
Yeah, but the other thing that you're
fake it.
bringing up, but the other thing that you're bringing up is, like you said, you believe that Harvard could win it all, right? And like 99.9% of the people who hear that would say that you're delusional. And the best entrepreneurs are delusional. I mean, think about what you're doing. You had, like, what did Lemon Perfect taste like before you created it? You have no idea because you created it.
Yeah. I can
So
tell you what lemons and water taste like.
you
Yeah.
could tell me, right? Exactly. So, like, you have nothing, right? Nothing. You don't have anything. And then you create something. That takes delusional thinking to think that you're the person who can sit on top of that and do it. And then all the things you need to do to execute against that. I mean, you can't be delusional in your everyday numbers. You can't be delusional in your forecasts. You can't be, you have to have a sense of nuts and bolts inside the business. But yeah, delusion's part of being an entrepreneur, and it's part of being a basketball coach, and it's part of like that unmitigated passion that you.
Yeah, I think that's right. It can get you in trouble, Jay.
Yeah. Yes.
But it also, without it, I think it's really hard to be great. And and to dream in a big way. And so, yeah, so you're 100% right.
All right, a few minutes left with Yanni. Hufnagel. He's the founder and executive chairman of Lemon Perfect. Known him a long time. He's just got the best energy and just a decent human being and hardworking guy that I'm like really hoping pays off everything and all of his efforts over these last 7 years, with driving his brand forward. And I mean, you're a blue chip guy. What are the blue chip shops I know Stop and Shop near me carries Lemon Perfect. Rattle off some blue chips that you have in your stable of where Lemon Perfect is.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, we're fortunate that at this point, we're almost everywhere. Up in your area, ShopRite, Stop and Shop, Wegmans, Target, CVS, our big national retailers, Kroger, Albertsons, Publix, HEB down in Texas, Hy-Vee in the Midwest.
I mean, you got to pinch yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's just, Jay, you do this thing for at the beginning. Listen, every authorization, you jump up and down, and it's like, oh my God, here we are. We got action, Costco, and and now I'm at the point where it's like it's got to, I want it to work. I want the velocities to be even better than they are. Yeah, it's incredible what we've built. It is incredible what we've built, but But I think the hardest thing for me to process, like our unaided brand awareness right now is 2%. Poppy is almost 40. So that goes to show you what they've been able to do to get to a $2 billion exit. Okay. The cruelest outcome of this thing would be if we don't get home and I don't get Lemon Perfect in the hands of people, call it everywhere, right? Like every street corner of America. I think we've got a product that tastes so good and is so good for you that we can actually change the health and wellness of of Americans. If we don't get home, we won't have that chance to really make impact. So that's what I'm chasing now, to be honest, is it's less about, you know, doors and like I really want this thing to have a chance to have some ubiquity. And we'll have a chance. I mean, we're going to get there. But that's my biggest burden right now, is to see if we can get home on that.
What's the unlock? What's like, I mean, what is there, one or two things, or is it like?
Yeah. I mean, look, Jay, we didn't get into it, but we had a hard 2024 with some real product quality issues. And we invested a lot of money behind those bottles without knowing until it was too late, to be honest, that we had a problem. It was hard to pull back. We tried very, very fast once we realized that we had this issue. And so now, in any venture-backed high growth business, especially in consumer, when you grow, when you double, triple, double, and then you have 1 year where you grow 5%, the question is, are we going to have enough time and runway to get back to where we were? Listen, Jay, as you know, investors can be unforgiving. We've raised almost $100 million. And so the question is, are we going to have enough time now to get this new product? So we changed our formula. We're now at a make site with all the things, we call it bulletproof things to ever prevent this from happening again, this oxidation issue. New labels, new graphics. So we've done all these incredible things to set ourselves up for what I think is going to be a magical next few years of Lemon Perfect. But we need the time. We're about to go out for another small capital raise. So are we going to have investors buy in and believe in this new vision? So there's a lot. There's a lot to get through. But with anything, when you have to restart in a way, and look, we have all the distribution. I mean, the business did almost $100 million in retail sales last year.
Crazy number.
But Poppy is a $700-800 million retail sales business.
Yeah.
So
I always say though, Yanni, it's really hard as an entrepreneur to like compare. And I mean, listen, Poppy is, again, like they're the juggernaut and the now example, but like I try really hard not to compare my business to 4Imprint and Custom.
yeah.
And
No, listen, Jay, you're right. Jay, you're absolutely right. We're running our own race.
It really is. Entrepreneurship is just about like you. It's about like, how do you do the best it's like your team almost isn't like when you were coaching. It's like your team's not playing the other team. Your team's playing the team with the least turnovers is generally who wins the game. I mean, obviously, if the talent's like, so it's all those same things that you've done for years is sort of like, what you have to do to win on a day by day basis. And it's like, it's just the parallels are all there. And, I could feel it in your, I could feel it in your vibe, like that there's some weighty things going on and, that you've got here's the thing. It's obvious how much you care. And I don't even say that. I don't know what your financial situation is and don't care. It's obvious that you care. You care about the people you care about your customers. You care about the people who you employ. You care about the partners and vendors that you've chosen. You care about your friends, your reputation, other people's reputation. Like, to me, like, I can feel that heaviness on you, Yanni. And like, I say to myself, like, boy, everybody's just at their best when they're out there executing and when they're just banging bodies and getting it done. And boy, I hope Yanni gets it. I hope Yanni just frees up and goes and plays, and everyone around him follows suit and goes and plays, because that's the way, to me, Lemon Perfect wins. And I don't know anything about the business.
Yeah, Jay, you're right. Listen, you're right. So yeah, listen, there's a lot to resolve itself and to clean up. But the one thing that you're always going to get with me is unvarnished emotion, right? I mean, that's entrepreneurship. I mean, someday,
By the way, it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
You're the same guy. You're the same guy I talked to 19 years ago in a one-on-one that didn't have much, didn't have anything, was a bartender. Like, so, you come on and you got this enthusiasm and raw and this and that. Like, that's not an act. That's who you are. You can't put that on for 20 years and not, so it's, if anybody ever thinks like, what is it? Like, let me tell you, I'm here to tell you, like, I knew this is who you are. I knew how you were going to be. I knew the energy you were going to bring today. I love it. And it's, you're infectious, Yanni. You're, whatever challenges you're going through, I believe you will get through them like you have in the past. And, winners win. And that's an immutable rule of life. Two things you can't do. You can't run out of cash. You know that. And you can't quit. And if you don't quit, I don't think you will run out. And if you keep going and don't quit and don't run out, then you're going to be at the finish line. And whatever that finish line looks like. And sometimes it's a poppy finish line. Sometimes it's a terms or undisclosed finish line.
Yeah.
And terms undisclosed ain't bad either.
No, listen, we're going to figure it out. Jay, listen, this was awesome. You're the best. Our product is also available on Amazon for anyone that wants to just order it online, Instacart. You're a dear friend. I'm so proud of you. What gives me the most joy is the success of your family. And you are also the same person that I first met 19 years ago. And I'm really grateful for our relationship. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I love you. You're great. That's Yanni Hufnagel, the executive chairman and founder of Lemon Perfect. Go to Amazon and almost every retail store you could find and pick yourself up a bottle or 10. Yanni, thanks.
Thanks for listening to JaySapChats. I hope you leave a little bit better than you came. And here's wishing you a beautiful week.